So we are going to discuss today the role of chorus. The thing is that before we discuss what is chorus and what usually they do in the play, and especially in ancient time, in Greek tragedy, there is a tremendous impact of chorus upon the play and the audience as well. So we are going to discuss the origin of the chorus. Usually in a common sense, we believe those people in the stage sing and dance, they are the chorus in general sense, but they have some other activities as well to make the play dynamic, to make the play progress or move further. That is the thing usually the chorus do. But I am going to discuss what kind of costume they usually take, how did they take their entrance, and how did usually they take their exit, these types of things, and who were the chorus, and how they were financed, and how many times they used to take for their rehearsal. These types of things I also discuss. In Bangladeshi point of view, we usually try to understand play with the context of meaning or theme, but play is not something like that. Play is something more attractive that touch the heart of the audience with its song, with its dance, with its dialogues. Lots of things usually we really need to perform a play. But we have to understand one thing, that when a director or a playwright tries to direct something, he had the capability, or he has that capability to address all the sectors of play properly, or the play would be a failure. So this is a big challenge for a playwright or a director while they are thinking to make a play successful or something like that. Or it is not easy to win the heart of the audience. So it is very ancient technique to involve the audience. That's why the idea of chorus was installed in Greek style, and people usually later followed in modern time as well. They followed this pattern with with minor extension, or sometimes erasing some part or minusing something. That is the thing usually happened with chorus over thousands of years. But one thing you have to understand while you are reading a text: first read the text properly, read between lines, and try to understand the role in part. While you are reading invocation in epic or something like that, oh yes, read the invocation. While we are reading the different type of characters, try to understand the pattern of the characters. And while you would understand these types of things in after third year, you are not going to read text like this, and you would understand much more in final year or masters, because these are the time of preparation, and we would help you do that, so that you may not refrain or disturb to understand the literary text of that ancient time. Okay, so and Greek tragedy, we knew it was a part of their ritual, and for this, to make the ritual successful, they usually perform the steps of play. And tragedy means boat song, all those things. So it has the chorus has a tremendous emphasis upon the dramatic action. So what is this? We are going to learn bit by bit. Okay, so this is the god Dionysus, and he was the god of wine and fertility, and in ancient time, people usually believe, if you read, there is a great book written by James Fraser. The name of the book is Golden Bough. In Golden Bough, you are going to get the death of God and the resurrection of God, and which is closely associated with their, which is closely someone's audio is on. I ask you to mute. Okay. So the thing is that the which is closely associated with the god Dionysus, and the god Dionysus, mm, it was one of their chief patron god, which was associated with the idea of fertility, which was closely associated with the idea of death. And in ancient, when people usually believed in agrarian culture or the society of agriculture, people had these types of concept of 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 the death of the god and the rebirth of the god. Dionysus was one of them. And another thing is that chorus usually do it narrates the story. Sometimes when we usually watch play, when we watch Siraj Daula or these types of play, we know what would happen, but still we watch them. While Shakespeare was performing his plays, people knew long ago the story, but they wanted to see what kind of dramatic representation they are going to do. So the thing is that in a movie or or in Netflix, you are going to see that in Mahabharata as well, there is a narrator or two or three narrators. And in ancient time, if the playwright felt in this way that the audience might not know this part or this portion of the text, they would let the audience acknowledge, oh yes, this is the story, and first try to understand what is the story, and their spokesman was the chorus. So it is very much, it's a bridge between audience and players means the dramatic person. So all the time the audience are monitored by the by the chorus or by the playwright. So the purpose is served by chorus. And now I'm going to discuss the function of the chorus. There are many functions of the chorus, but what was the main point of view? What was the main point of view? First, as I told you, tragedy was the part of their ritual. So they wanted to make that audience feel that it's ritual. And from ancient time, people usually believed in a rhythm and and chanting or something like that. It gives us some spiritual feeling or mystical environment when usually the audience hear a beautiful song. It gives them inner feelings, and they get mental peace. When they get mental peace, they would listen to the every word of they are going to listen to the every word of the players, and the whole theater would become very calm, so that all may enjoy the play. And in those days, they don't have big microphone. They don't have microphone, and for this reason, they had to use their vocal loudly. And if the audience became disturbing, the play would might be spoiled. And for this reason, they try to create a rhythmic chanting position that gives them inner feelings and the spiritual understanding something like that. And sometimes it also accelerates the passion of dramatic action. And you have to understand another thing. When the audience got connected when the audience got connected with the theme, they become more they another I discussed one thing that is called catharsis. That means the fear. If the audience is not connected with the play, they might not laugh in comedy, they might not laugh in sorry they might not feel fear or cry in tragedy. Then the text would be a failure, or the performance would be a failure. And for this reason, they have to create some essential part, or they have to somehow connect the audience, so that they have to connect the audience so that they might not lose the grip from the audience. Hmm. Okay, now I'm going to discuss. I'm going to Now I'm going to discuss the chorus. The chorus is music and song, and they usually sang in those days very loudly. And in Greek form, if you read the poem of Sappho, the female bird of ancient Greek, you would see, or you might enjoy the videos of Sappho usually performed by the modern dancers following the Greek pattern. You would see how did they dance. They have some classical pattern of dancing, and that is really for the audience. And sometimes the audience was too much tensed with the effect of the play, so they need a relief. And suddenly the appearance of song, or suddenly the appearance of dance gave them a relief from the tension. Suppose while reading Oedipus, we know what might happen, so at the end we might not, there is just some big problem we do face, that this is something should not happen. This is something should not happen, but going to be happened. So the audience became too much tense, and to give them relief, usually song and music were a great relief for them. And instrument is another part. They usually used instrument as well. Okay, the chorus in role. Okay, so it's not necessary with the starting of that text, or with the starting of the play the chorus might enter. But some even we might see that chorus the group of chorus comes first to address all the audience. It also happens. Okay, there are two ideas, another two ideas we are going to get: an objective and subjective idea of chorus. Um, there are some limitation of chorus, and what they should do or what they cannot do. And chorus must understand they have some limitation, and they should perform all this thing within the limit of action of characters as characters, or sometimes they act like uh, like an impartial commentators. That means they are not taking any side, rather they are describing the thing. I hope I have talked about the third theater of Badal Sarkar in my classes in the college. You might see that in third theater the characters directly talk with the audience, and audience is also the part of the play. Audience in Western theater, we do find audience is the consumer. They are the source of earning money. But in third theater of Badal Sarkar, we do find his audience is not directly the source of income, rather they are human. For the first time in the history of human human theater, we do find Badal Sarkar did the thing. And there is these types of things also happened in chorus as well in ancient Greek. They are the representation of common people. What common people might utter, it is uttered by the chorus. So when they are involved totally, this is called subjective. And when they are serving the purpose of the text, then that is called objective. Okay, so there is a guideline. So guide for the audience, that means chorus was the guideline for the audience and the spectator. It asked question, it gave answer, it sometimes gave the flashback story, or they might assume the text in this way, it might happen. So these are there are many questions inside the mind of the audience, and they usually try to research those questions, and they would ask the question to the audience. And so chorus is something like that. If chorus is the representation of audience, so when they're asking question, audience is talking to audience. So chorus here is the mirror. Here chorus is the mirror of those audience. That means I am asking question and you are giving me the answer. That means it's something like that when I'm standing in front of a mirror and I am asking question and my shadow is giving me the answer. So I'm talking myself when this is the thing. So for us, another way helps us understand our inner mind. So the fear we feel in our heart, the expectation we possess in our heart, or the fear of outcome, or the thinking of future. These types of things usually asked by chorus and repeatedly answered by them. And in this way, there is no difference between audience and chorus. And so at the end, chorus becomes audience. Okay, another thing is that rehearsal. How did they take, how did they rehearse? Usually it was a huge surprise for the Greek people or the Greek audience. They don't have YouTube or Facebook. That's why they could not see in those things virtually, and that's why they have to wait. But they did not perform. They did not perform in front of the audience. Rather, they usually rehearse indoor, or closed door, so that the people might not see them. And another thing is that as time changes, so does the part of chorus as well. But early dramatists like Aeschylus or Sophocles, Euripides, they usually train their own chorus. They were trained performer in this way. But who are they? I am going to discuss. Okay, the size of the chorus. If you have any question, ask me. No problem with that. The size of the chorus. Usually, in Shakespearean play, we do find that we need a dramatic person 42 to 50. 42 to 50. Try to understand. Not more than 50. 50 men are involved in a play. But in Greek chorus, usually sometimes they used 50 chorus. A big gathering, but it was reduced later because the size of the theater was not same all the time. That's why it needed a huge space for standing those performers who acted as chorus. Okay, and the thing is that, and I'm going to discuss paradox is later as well. And the exit is called exodus. And how did they come into the theater, and in the stage, and how did they leave the stage? That is the thing I'm going to discuss after a couple of slides. Okay, uh, it's wonderful. It is wonderful. People from all categories were taken to select chorus. And definitely another thing you have to understand here, they were unpaid volunteers. They are unpaid volunteers. For especially all the performers were not unpaid all the time, but the chorus were unpaid. And they usually took 3 to 4 months for preparing themselves in the stage. As it is discussed in here, that Aeschylus or Sophocles or Euripides usually train their chorus. So that's why they might take 4 months. 4 months is a long time for practicing. We usually also take these types of training before performing any play. Okay, and how they were financed. So when we are thinking to select 10 chorus, 10 men to act it as a chorus, so they need costume, they need food, they need masks. And when we are trying to train them, if we take 4 months, so how are they going to sustain, or they're going to survive for all those 4 months, and who is going to pay for that? So one thing is that it is very much very much what is a good lesson for the common people, that the costume at stage expense at through a choreogos, a wealthy citizen. That means those who are wealthy citizen, they usually paid for that. And so it is very much understandable that they have a tremendous community who helped each other. So you are giving me amusement, I am giving you money. So such a give and take condition of Greek society we do find in those days happened. Okay, and now we are going to discuss the structure of Greek tragedy and the role of the chorus. So without understanding the structure of the Greek tragedy, I discussed a little bit in my earlier classes. I have taken lots of classes on Oedipus. So the thing is that, so I'm going to just discuss the structure of the tragedy, and chorus is one of the important parts of that tragedy. And we are going to discuss Oedipus as well, but I'm not talking too much about Oedipus, because in every Greek play you are going to get the role of chorus. So you have to understand what is chorus, and we are going to definitely discuss how the chorus take part in King Oedipus. Okay, so this is the stone theater we do find. It is called amphitheater, and amphitheater, they usually people could sit 40,000. In Bangladesh, there is not a single what is say theater which can hold more than 5,000 audience, but they could arrange 40,000 audience in those days. Can you imagine? These are the things. And in nowadays in Yankee Stadium seats 52,000. Okay, so the thing is that uh, they don't have any microphone. Still, they could hear they could hear a penny drop from all the way top. So look at their engineering technique in those days, and the vocal power of chorus as well. So that's why we all the time put our knee in front of the Greek civilization. They are the highest and the ultimate expression of humanity. That is, they are the ultimate expression of culture and civilization as well. I admire them. Okay, and now the cast and action we're going to discuss here. All the audience, all the performer usually took mask. They have different type of mask. When they are using mask, sometimes with a funny face, sometimes with serious face, or sometimes with the mask of the soldier or something like that. Hmm. Um, and another thing is that there were no backstage. We have backstage in those days, but in those days there was no backstage. And if there was a violent scene like fight or something like that, killing or murder scene, they have no opportunity because they don't have camera, they don't have those old categories, our technology is too much advanced in these days, but in those days they could not show those things. That's why people usually imagined that that might happen, and one narrator usually discuss the thing. Okay, another thing you have to know, usually people knew the story, but despite, when you are watching the movie Jodha Akbar or something like that, when you are watching the movie Nawab Siraj-Dowla or something like that, you know the story, but still you want to watch it. Why? Because you want to see how well they performed. Okay, now another thing is that unity of time, place, and action. You have heard all those things. This is very much important factor in Greek plays. And usually unity of action means they are not going to use many subplots. They are based on one plot. Plot means story. Nowadays I do find in Bangla serial with Istar Jalsa or what to see, GTV or something like that, they usually have many subplots of the text because they want to extend. When you are watching Sultan Suleiman, they have many subplots. There are many subplots over there. But in same time, usually the Greek theater, they did not use lots of plots. They usually used one plot or very little subplot. And another thing is that unity of place, the place doesn't change. And the unity of time, is that the story would not go more than 24 hours. That means people would understand that this happened within 24 hours. But usually in modern time, people, the playwrights do not follow this rule. So what is the chorus right now? I'm going to discuss here. Usually in Sophocles' play, we do find 12 to 15 men who sang and danced. And in King Oedipus, the senators became the chorus. Make no mistake, the senators became the chorus in King Oedipus. Another thing is that the role of the chorus I discussed, but I want to give you some new information here. And the role of the chorus is here, and they are linked with theme, and they want to discuss the law and the Olympian gods, and they are going to give you the reflection of the audience, and they are going to share the background information. If you were asked what are the role of the chorus, you try to understand and write by your own. So another thing is that the structure of the tragedy. So the Greek tragedy usually alternates between odes and episodes. Odes means, try to understand, odes means here definitely not poetry. Here odes means song and dance. In Greek play, odes means song and dance. So the first it starts with odes, and then story goes. Story means episode. Then the odes are sung by the chorus, and the episode is usually the dialogues between the characters. So first you have to understand just two things you have to understand: the odes and episodes. These are the two main words to understand the structure of tragedy. And in more detail, if we talk, when the text or the play starts, it's called the prologue. And the first song of the chorus is called parodos. And at the end, and every people, that means the climax disclosed, the text ended. It is called choral ode. It is usually called choral ode. So three things we are going to learn here: prologue, paradox, choral ode. And in structure, we are going to learn odes and episodes. So these are the things. So odes are performed. Make no mistake, I repeat, odes are performed by chorus. Episodes are performed by the characters. I repeat, odes are performed by the chorus. Episodes are performed by the characters. And prologue sometimes starts with characters, or sometimes it starts with chorus, but in ancient time usually it is started with chorus, or it's not necessary, but everyone can take participation. It depends on the playwright. And the paradox, that means the text ends with chorus. It's true, the text ends with chorus. It's not necessarily mandatory, but usually they followed these rules because they became the soul of the common people. Okay. And at the end it is called exodus. People usually took people when they understood, especially the audience, what had happened, and they have nothing to say, they have seen everything. So it was the exodus. Exodus means exit. The moral of the history, where the chorus tells what we were supposed to learn from the characters. So this is the exodus. So this is all about, from chorus you have learned lots of things. So if you have any question, ask me. We have only three minutes. Do you have any question?
Sir, just sweep করে এগুলো স্লাইড গুলো একটু সামনের দিকে নিলে ভালো হতো, জাস্ট একটু দেখতাম স্যার কোনটা বাদ গেছে কিনা।
Okay. I'll let you show. You would watch all those things in YouTube. Take time. And if you have any question, ask me in my next class, or ask me in my Facebook. Give me message. I will discuss. No problem with that. But it's something about acting. If I could show you the way I take class, sometimes I deliver the dialogues as well, it becomes too much interesting, I know. Okay, but it's not bad during Corona time. This is very important thing. You have to understand objective and subjective pattern, and the guide for the audience. Usually the chorus, the guide for the audience. And rehearsal, those who are interested to act, usually you read all those things. Size of the chorus, civic responsibility, supported by community, and the structure, those things. Any other question? This is tremendous. They had the capacity of 40,000 people. Can you imagine? Even nowadays we cannot perform these types of things such a massive way. Their audience, they were too much polite. Okay, do you have any question? Last minute, or I would end. Okay, take care, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.